Welcome to another episode of Crime Pays a Botany Doesn't. Today I'm coming to you from an apartment in Mexico City, beautiful Mexico City. A little heavy on the auto pollution, but otherwise it's a wonderful town. I came to my friend's house and I was just gonna crash here. We're gonna hang out, we're gonna go. He's a biologist, his girlfriend's a biologist. They're good people, you know, and they can tolerate me, which I appreciate as well. And upon getting to his house, I noticed he was doing some pretty incredible stuff. He's got, I don't know, 6 or 7 species of rattlesnake, rare and threatened species of rattlesnake. He's got 2 or 3 species of rare and threatened fish, all species that are succumbing to human impacts as the human population and human ecological footprint grows and takes over. So it made me almost think of this documentary I seen once called The Chances of the World Changing. It was a 2006 documentary about this guy that's taking care of all these endangered turtles in his apartment. You know, the moral of the story is, you know, he's got to do this because, you know, what are the chances of the world changing? By world, he means people, you know, fucking human beings. Anyway, this is really cool. Some of these animals are beautiful, but what impresses me is that it's not just some guy who likes to collect snakes and he likes to have them and collect them. It's not that weird collector mentality. No offense to it, though it is a little fucking weird. It's a guy who's doing this to reintroduce these things. He's trying to breed them, get them into a little sex motel, get them to breed, you know, and then reintroduce the little, I guess, what do you call it, snakelings, the babies, back into habitat in places where they'll be safe. Because, you know, just much like in Mexico, as in the United States, a lot of shit for bringing humans just go and kill them on impact upon sight, you know. So anyway, we're gonna try and film some of the stuff he's doing. It's pretty cool. It's for conservation, and I was impressed. So I'm just gonna make a quick video about it. Here we go. Okay, so this is César, this is Vale. Hello to you both. You're both biologists. And so César, tell us what you got here. Tell us about these snakes you got here in your room.
Well, I have right now about 6 species, something like that. Most of them are rattlesnakes. All of them are vipers, pit vipers, native and then endemic to Mexico. We have Crotalus sapcan from Yucatan Peninsula, Crotalus basiliscus from the Pacific coast of Mexico, Crotalus molossus oaxacus, subspecies oaxacus from the southern end of the species distribution that ranges from Oaxaca all the way north to Arizona.
Right, the blacktail rattlesnake. So what she do? She wants to eat. She thinks you're getting ready to feed her.
Yeah, she's hungry.
She's waiting on like a frozen ratsicle or something.
Yeah.
You give them to them frozen? You don't give. How do you give them? Just like a little. It's like a little frozen popsicle rat, right?
I thaw them. Just because, yeah, you know, they're too cold.
That's right. They don't need a frozen treat. They prefer. Do you warm it up a little bit or what?
Yeah, about 20 plus degrees Celsius, so they feel a bit more attracted to it. Not that cold.
Yeah, I feel bad. You know, we already had her out today because I was looking at her. This is Crotalus sapcan from the Yucatan Peninsula. Probably one of the most gorgeous rattlesnakes I've ever seen. Yeah, she's like, come on, you fucking serious? Leave me alone. Okay, there we go. We just want to look at your beauty, that's all. We just want to look at your beauty. There's nobody else in there who's going to get me right now, okay?
No.
Okay, there we go. It's a beautiful snake. Look at that beautiful snake. So what's going on with this species? I mean, how common are they?
They're actually fairly common in the Yucatan Peninsula, but they're facing a big threat of urban development. It's becoming a very popular place to live, especially for foreigners and chilangos, people from Mexico City that want to have like a summer.
Oh, so they got kind of like a yuppie scene down there.
Yeah, and many of the cities down there are growing a lot. Everybody wants to be and live in the rainforest, and until there's no rainforest left, right?
And there's plenty of Instagram opportunities for selfies and stuff down there. So that's what's going on. So that's why these guys are. So they're losing a little bit of ground, mostly habitat destruction, I would assume, right?
Yeah, that's the biggest threat by far.
That's the biggest threat all over the world, is human beings take more for themselves and leave so little for the rest of the biosphere. Can we get her into the light? I feel bad. You know, I wish there was like a way to like pay her back, you know, but you can't give a rattlesnake treats like you would a dog. So they only eat once a month or something, right?
Yeah, sometimes twice a month, but they usually just eat once every month.
And so she was, I mean, because we had her out earlier, she is not aggressive. She is really mellow.
Most of the rattlesnakes, at least the ones I have here, are really chill. But in general, they're really timid animals. So they prefer not to be disturbed. They will, again, hide whenever they feel uncomfortable. They're not aggressive. People think that they're like very dangerous, vicious animals that want to bite at everything that crosses their path. But truth is that they're really chill, really timid. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want to bother anybody.
But I mean, but you know, like now, like she couldn't bite right now. They got to be. I mean, they could if you got close enough, but they got to be, you know, pulled back. They got to be like ready to spring out. Right?
Yeah, or either that, or like I just step, like I get too close to her.
You step right on her.
But she won't try to. The most she can. She wants. Right now, she's comfortable.
Right.
If anything, she would try to hide somewhere.
It'd be a waste of good venom.
Yeah. Which is expensive for them.
Right. And so what is the venom like in these? Is it hemotoxic and neurotoxic? Or?
Yeah, it's a mix. It's mostly hemo and cytotoxic. So it prevents blood from coagulating, and it destroys the tissue.
God, those scales are beautiful. Yeah, I wish the lighting was better so we could show the color on this thing. That is just a gorgeous snake. And so they're mostly hanging out in leaf litter. I mean, they live in tropical dry deciduous forests, or?
Yes. Yeah, that's most of Yucatan's biotope.
So they got a rainy season, then a long dry season?
It's about half and half.
Half and half.
About 6 months of rain and another 6 months of drought.
It's been difficult to find her a date.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, this is a very poached species, and so there's a lot of snakes of this species in the market. But I don't want to like get one of those. I want to get one that is preferably captive bred from a friend that has a project similar to me.
So they poach these. So who collects these? I mean, is it just like herpetology nerds, or just dummies that want?
It's local people that are paid for to send them to the United States and
no shit,
Germany,
really?
and you know the big reptile markets in the world.
Right. So that's actually a thing. People, they're collectors, just like with rare cacti and orchids and stuff.
Yes, it's the same stuff.
Jesus. So what would be your plan if you found her a mate, captive bred mate? It's pretty easy to get them to, you know, do their thing, and then you get the babies. How do you keep them until it's time to let them go?
I usually keep them for about a year, just to make sure that they won't be like an instant snack for smaller animals like
a hawk or something.
Yeah, and so they can fend themselves. I try to sort of inoculate them with the microbiota that they will find in the place they will go to. So I try to collect leaf litter and a bunch of things that are in the soil where they will be living.
For like stomach flora, or for just so it doesn't, trying to pre-expose them so they don't get sick? I mean, are there
that's
viruses
right.
that can...
Yeah, here they live in a very pretty sterile environment.
Right.
And it can be a shock and reduce a lot the survival rate. Microorganisms that wouldn't be a threat to them if they
grew up with it.
Yeah.
For site selection, how do you know what's a good spot? You just want to find a spot away from population centers where you can let them go, and
as far as possible from population centers, places that I don't think that in the near future will be cut down for new developments, which is getting increasingly difficult in Yucatan.
There's that much development going on in the Yucatan Peninsula.
Yes, cities like Cancun, like Merida, the big population centers, even some other smaller towns that used to be like small fishing towns are becoming big towns with hundreds of thousands of people living there. They're threatened. They're not critically endangered. Also, not a lot of studies in terms of the population status have been made. So we don't really know that much about the conservation status of these species and many others here in Mexico. But yeah, since they're very beautiful snakes,
they're hot on the market.
Yeah,
people are trying to actively poach these, and
yeah, they're very poached because they're relatively easy to find in Yucatan.
It's that weird human compulsion to want to own something. It's not enough to just like take a few nice photos and appreciate it in habitat and learn about the habitat. It's mine. You gotta take it.
Most of the prey in the wild will have some sort of pathogen, like protozoarian or worms, things like that. Parasitic load in those animals can be too much to handle.
How long do they live?
About 20 years.
20 years? And in the wild, they live like 10, 15 years?
Yeah, sometimes.
Not that long.
Not that long. And it's mostly due to, again, the human impact on them. People just see them, kill them.
Okay, so these two guys, this is a male and a female blacktail rattlesnake, Crotalus molossus?
It's a couple.
It's a couple. Okay, have these guys had babies?
No, they haven't had babies.
And so they're just drinking. They're so cute when they drink. Look at it. And this is from the southern end of the range. So they're the Oaxacan subspecies.
No, these are actually nigricen's subspecies. They range from southern Chihuahua, from Durango, all the way south to around Mexico City, Michoacan, the neovolcanic axis in central Mexico. These ones in particular are from Michoacan.
Mm-hmm. And so how'd you come by these guys? Was it were they from the wild, or how'd you end up with them?
One of them is wild caught when she was little, like I believe about a year old. She was about to get killed. The other one was captive bred from parents from that same population.
What was she about to get killed for? Do you know? I mean, what were the circumstances?
When people find snakes, especially rattlesnakes in the wild, it's just almost a reflex. They just killed anything that moves and has scales in it.
And who's this guy up here?
This is a Bothrops asper.
So this is Bathop. So this isn't a rattlesnake, but it's a pit viper.
It's a pit viper. This one is from Veracruz. It's captive bred as well. These are very feisty snakes. They're the ones that give the most trouble in terms of bites.
Because they're not kind. They don't have a rattle, so they can't kindly let you know when you get too close.
They do move around the tail. They wiggle the tail when they feel threatened, but they're not shy at all. Uh-huh. So they're like landmines. If they see someone approaching,
you get too close, you're gonna get popped.
Yeah.
This guy, he was drinking water for a long time. Is he gonna have to piss later, or what is he doing? What's he doing now?
I think she's just a bit dizzy.
Oh, okay. Maybe she had to yawn or something?
Yeah.
Is it true the snakes can't hear?
They don't have external ears, but they can feel vibrations if they put their heads on a surface.
Oh yeah, she would blend right in with that leaf duff. Oh my God. So if you get hit by one of these, how bad is it?
Well, it depends really. If you're near a hospital and you're not particularly sensitive, a prepared hospital, of course, with anti-venom and all the necessary equipment, it won't be bad. The problem is that people are usually bitten far away, up in the mountains or in the fields, and it takes a while for them to get to the nearest health center. So it can get bad. They can lose limbs. They can.
So they really dump it into you, huh?
Yeah.
And you said these guys like to hang out in places where people have, they can adjust to human disturbance, basically.
Yeah, that's the main reason for them to be the biggest problem. They adapt really well to human environments. They like to hang around the fields where there's a lot of rats and small mammals. And since that's where people work, the encounters are fairly common.
Okay, so this over here, this is eyelash viper. Where are they native to?
To southern Mexico and Central America, all the way to Colombia.
They got a bright color on them, so they're not going for camouflage. They're going for being conspicuous, basically.
Yeah. Here in Mexico, it's actually rare to find them in this color. They're more common in Costa Rica, in these bright colorations. But this is from a Mexican population.
And what do they eat mostly?
In the wild, lizards. Mostly lizards, small birds, anything that lives or moves around trees. In particular are from the mountains surrounding Mexico City. And they were paired up and they just made it last week. So hopefully we'll be having babies sometime soon.
And so you'll keep those babies for a year, raise them up, and then find a spot to survey for a spot to let them go where they won't get killed or have their life ruined by people.
Yes.
That's a beautiful snake too. God, these things are so gorgeous, man. Oh yeah, that thing's. Yeah, she does. Okay, she doesn't want us to film. She's camera shy. I understand. You could tell. So, is this a snake you'd find in like a pine oak woodland at higher elevations, or where would you find this snake?
In oak woodlands, in xerophilic shrub. Here in Mexico, there's a lot of volcanic fields and lava fields, so they love to hang around the basalt and all the that has like a lot of crevices where they can hide.
Right. So this is like and that's an adult size right there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is Crotalus basiliscus, and where's this one from?
This is native to Mexico, endemic to the Pacific coasts of Mexico from Sinaloa south to Michoacan. This is the biggest species of rattlesnake here in Mexico.
Oh, the tail's beautiful.
It's close in size to the eastern diamondback from the U.S., Crotalus salamantes.
So these can get pretty big.
Pretty big, yeah.
And same with these. I mean, are they threatened too? Have their numbers been declining or what?
They're as threatened as, for instance, Crotalus tzapkan. They still face the threat of people just killing them on sight. Mm-hmm. But they don't face like habitat destruction as much. I
don't know why people in America and Mexico kill snakes on impulse. The Aussies I've met, and I know quite a few of them, don't do that. It's a much different attitude in Australia towards snakes. I think it's because so many of them are dangerous that it's. And plus, since the snakes there are a little more aggressive. And the elapids in Australia, the members of the cobra family in Australia, their defense mechanism is being aggressive.
Yeah.
Which I can understand because I could relate for a while at some point in my life. So why the yellow color? What is the substrate that they can be found on?
It's actually a wide variety of substrates. mostly leaf litter and from xerophilic shrubs.
So seasonally dry forest, and are the leaves yellow often?
Yeah.
So that's, there you go, okay. So that's, it's just camouflage, it's an adaptation to not being seen.
Yeah, they're hard to spot in tropical deciduous forests and places like that.
What elevation range are we talking here? Like 3,000 feet up to like 9,000 feet or what?
They, from the coast level, from sea level, so 0 meters to about 2,000 meters.
So like 7,000 feet, yeah. Sorry for disturbing you, I know you're shy. We're just gonna take some nice footage and then we're gonna put you back. God, the scales are just, deafeningly gorgeous. That is such a beautiful animal. He looks pretty chill. He's not pissed. So generally when they strike, I mean, you go back to what, the second coil to kind of get an idea for whether you're in range or not?
Yeah, it's usually to the part where the last coil, I don't know how to say it.
I think for most people, they just don't want to be anywhere around them to begin with, which is good for the human and good for the snake too. The cobras get super aggro. The pit vipers just want to be left alone.
Yeah, they're just really chill, real lazy too. They don't look after the prey.
I was going to ask you, so like these, that's really not, I mean, that's a small cage it looks like, but for how active they are, like if they're in the wild, they're just hanging out in a hole, coming out to sun themselves and eat, and then going back into a hole or what?
Yeah, that's pretty much it, especially for the bigger species. They have like a preferred spot near a hole or hiding spot. They come out, they bask in the sun for a while, they wait until a prey comes, and whenever they feel like, they go back to their.
Yeah, because I got a friend who's doing. She does surveys and monitoring of southern Pacific rattlesnakes in eastern Washington. She's been going back to the same hole to see her friend Steve for the last 5 years, and he's been at the same hole that long. Okay, and then you got this guy, this is not the axolotl, but it's same genus, Stoma.
Ambystoma, right?
Ambystoma dumorilii.
Yeah.
So this is Ambystoma dumorilii, and so they stay in that stage their whole life. And what are those things behind the head? What do those do?
Those are gills. So they remain in the larval stage.
So it's like if a frog stayed a tadpole its whole life and never turned into a frog.
Sort of, yeah. They're neotenic in that sense, and they are native to Lake Pátzcuaro in Michoacán. It's a volcanic lake, just like the Mexico's basin lakes, from where the more famous cousin Ambystoma mexicanum is. And unlike Ambystoma mexicanum, there's still population that is threatened, very badly threatened.
And so what's the goal here eventually? I mean, is it to eventually breed them and re-release them, or?
Yeah, it's the same goal for everyone. Right now, this one is recovering. She had a few accidents. She was badly injured, and she's in this tank isolated so that she can recover.
Oh, so you have another one.
Yeah.
You got a mate for her whenever she gets better.
Yeah.
And then, so these fish over here, this is Scyphia lermae, and these are endangered because these live in springs that are basically being drained, huh?
Yeah, and in rivers that are very heavily polluted because of the industry and sewage from the cities that surround the rivers. So the entire river system in central Mexico is pretty much uninhabitable for a lot of these species from the Godate family. These are endemic to Mexico, and as well as the introduction of exotic species such as tilapia and carp and other animals that dominate the ecosystem
How many
places.
fish species have gone extinct in Mexico in the last 100 years? Do you know?
Oh man, I don't know. Of this family, the Godiid family, 3 species.
At least 3 species in
And-
this family have gone extinct.
There's another one another 2 that are extinct in the wild, but they're still captive populations here in Mexico and in the United States.
So same thing with these. Just breed them, and then where do you try to? What's your intent, to release them or to?
To release them in the original lake, in the original water body where they were caught, and in new water bodies that are filled with exotic fish that can be potential habitat for these native ones.
Yeah, where's the lake where these live again?
It's called Zacapu Lake in Michoacan.
Okay, so these guys, these are fish that have evolutionarily lost their eyes because they live in caves. They're basically blind fish. That's insane. So what species is this and where are they native?
They're Stienas mexicanus. They're native here to Mexico. They have actually a pretty wide range, but these in particular are from caves in San Luis Potosí.
Limestone caves, I take it.
Yes.
If it weren't for limestone, these probably wouldn't have evolved because limestone reacts with rainwater, it weathers very easily, dissolves, creates cave systems in the first place, and then that's how you end up with a fish that, because volcanic rock doesn't really do that.
Yeah, no. These are river-dwelling fish, and the few that got caught in the caves eventually lost their eyes and their original coloration.
So what do they eat? I mean, in a cave where there's no light.
They eat whatever the river brings to them. They can actually live for extended periods of time without eating. They're sort of permanently diabetic, so they have a high sugar level all the time.
It's amazing that something can just lose eyesight and be fine.
Yeah.
So they don't have any predators really where they live.
No, they don't. At least not big ones.
God, that's crazy. So what's their sister species that still has eyes? Like, what's the closest living species that still has eyes?
It's actually the same species, Stienas mexicanus. It's just this phenotype. It's blind.
Jesus Christ. It's not even considered a subspecies or anything.
No.
They can still interbreed with the ones.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So it's just a population that, wow. That sounds like a pretty interesting thing to study. I mean,
and they're very studied. I don't think they've tried much to breed them with the ones that still have eyes, because these ones are a little less, say, active, and the other ones can pick on them. They can get aggressive. But yeah. They're essentially the same species.
Fish racism.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, man. As disappointing as humans. We won't hold it against them. Okay, so César, tell me, why did you do all this? Because, I mean, this seems like you went down a wormhole with this.
Very much.
How did you get into this and what does it do for you?
Yeah, well, I've always wanted to be a biologist. And once I got there, I've always had a concern with the conservation of the native ecosystems here in Mexico. I've seen them disappear in front of my eyes, and these are like really small efforts that almost just one person efforts that I try to do whatever I can to improve the conditions, or at least prevent as much as I can the disappearing of some of these populations.
So it's basically whatever you're able to do, you're trying to do that.
Yeah. I will eventually make this into a bigger project, but right now, for the time I was studying the career, this is as much as I could do. So I didn't want it to sit and wait until I got to the point I could do something bigger. I wanted to work with whatever I could.
Start now, however small.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming out for churros with me, too. I appreciate it, both of you guys. Thanks a lot.